Okay, today we are going to talk a little bit about the subjunctive with adverbial conjunctions, el subjuntivo y las conjunciones adverbiales. Now, what is a conjunctions? What are conjunctions? Okay, ¿qué son conjunciones? Okay, well, conjunctions are words or phrases that connect sentences. And when we have certain conjunctions uniting sentences, connecting sentences, we're going to use the subjunctive. Okay, here we have an example of two sentences connected by a conjunction. In this case, the conjunction is para qué, and the two sentences are reparte los informes, todos los lean. Reparte los informes para que todos los lean. Now, there are certain conjunctions that are always followed by the subjunctive, and if you familiarize with them, if you memorize them, you won't have a problem, any kind of problems determining when to use the subjunctive in these situations. And these are the ones, these conjunctions that you can see here are the conjunctions that always are followed by the subjunctive. Okay, here we have the sentence reparte los informes para que todos los lean. Okay, la conjunción es ¿para qué? Okay, y es una de esas conjunciones, is one of those conjunctions that are always followed by the subjunctive. So we have reparte in the indicative, and we have leer in the subjunctive. So para qué, the conjunction para qué, is a sort of subjunctive trigger. It will tell you, yes, in the second sentence, in the following sentence, I'm going to conjugate the verb in the subjunctive. Okay, here we have another example. Carmen no va a aceptar el trabajo a menos que le suban el sueldo. Okay, we have two sentences. Carmen no va a aceptar el trabajo, connected by the conjunction a menos que. And a menos que is one of those conjunctions that trigger the subjunctive. That is why we conjugate subir in the subjunctive. Suban. Okay? Okay, here we have another sentence, another example. Okay, no me enojo con tal que el jefe me dé un buen horario. Okay, we have two sentences. No me enojo, el jefe me dé un buen horario, connected by the conjunction con tal que. And because con tal que is one of those conjunctions that always trigger the subjunctive, we see the verb de in the subjunctive, dar, de. Now, and this is very important, there are some adverbial conjunctions that may use the indicative or they may use the subjunctive. It depends on the situation, okay? And these are the ones that can go either way. And you should familiarize yourself with them. if possible, memorize them so you know when you encounter them that you have to analyze the sentence and find the situation in which they're going to be used with the subjunctive or they're going to be used with the indicative. Now, when do we use the subjunctive, guys? Well, if the first sentence is a command or is in the future tense, you're going to use the subjunctive, okay? If the first sentence is a mandato, a command, or is in the future tense, the second sentence is going to be in the subjunctive. Now, I know we have not studied yet, or maybe you don't have studied yet the future tense, but there is a way of speaking up in the future that is not exactly the future tense, and that is the verb ir accompanied by the infinitive, like voy a la universidad, voy a viajar, van a estudiar. All those phrases imply future tense. So if you see those phrases, if you see the verb ir accompanied by the infinitive, the future is implicit. Now, this is an example of a sentence that uses one of those conjunctions that can go either way. We can use indicative or we can use the subjunctive. And it says, José habla con el gerente cuando él llegue a la oficina. Okay, in this sentence, we immediately notice that we have here the subjunctive, llegue a la oficina. Now, why do we use the subjunctive here? Well, because the first sentence here has a command. Okay, habla. José, habla con el gerente. That's a command. That's a mandato. Therefore, the second sentence is going to be, the verb is going to be conjugated in the subjunctive. Okay, this is another example. Okay, le voy a explicar las responsabilidades en cuanto llene la solicitud de empleo. Now, why do you think that in the last sentence we are using the subjunctive, llene? Why? Can you think about it? Well, because in the first sentence we have the future tense. Le voy a explicar las responsabilidades. I am going to explain to him or her his or her responsibilities. It's a future tense. Now, when do we use the indicative with these same conjunctions? Okay, you use indicative when the action in the second sentence is a habitual action, is a repetitive action, or when the sentence is in the past tense. And that's quite easy to remember. Okay, let's look at this sentence. Ana siempre pregunta por el sueldo cuando tiene una entrevista. Okay, we have two sentences. Ana siempre pregunta por el sueldo. We have one of these pesky conjunctions. Cuando can go either way, and we have a second sentence. Now, in this case, we have the verb of the second sentence in the indicative. Now, why? Because it is a repetitive or habitual action. Okay, how do we know that it is a repetitive or habitual action? Because we have the word siempre. Ana always asks for how much is the salary when she has an interview. Okay, Ana siempre pregunta por el sueldo cuando tiene una entrevista. Now let's look at this sentence. Isabel preguntó por el sueldo cuando se reunió con el supervisor. Now this is a sentence in the past tense, in the preterite. And even though we have two sentences and we have the conjunction cuando, we use the past tense. We use the preterite, which is a tense in the indicative. Okay? Now, let's look at this other example. El veterinario nunca sale de la clínica mientras que hay animales que atender. Now, okay. Do we have the second sentence in the subjunctive or in the indicative? Indicative. Okay, indicative. I. Okay, why? Well, the answer is because it's a habitual action of the veterinarian. He never leaves the clinic while there are animals to be treated or attended. And how do we know it is a habitual action? Well, the word nunca tells us that. He never leaves the clinic while there are animals to be treated. Therefore, the second subject is in the indicative. Now, this last sentence is a little bit tricky because it doesn't follow the order we have seen in the other examples. First sentence, conjunction, second sentence. We have here conjunction, last sentence or second sentence or subordinate sentence, and finally main sentence or first sentence. In Spanish, syntax or word order is more flexible than in English. So yes, we can do this, and the meaning is the same. And we have cuando, which is one of those pesky conjunctions that may or may not trigger the subjunctive. But we see that the last sentence, which is the main sentence, is in the future. Me voy a sentir mejor. I am going to feel better. Therefore, the sentence in the subordinate clause is in the subjunctive. Yes, we can say the same sentence changing the order. Me voy a sentir mejor cuando la supervisora cambie de posición. And it's the same meaning, and the rules are the same. Okay? Okay.